Thailand has proposed an ambitious landbridge program to transfer goods across the Isthmus of Kra, and this would allow ships to bypass the Straits of Malacca and Singapore. The proposal has given rise to sensational headlines from several content creators, gloating about how the land bridge would be a disaster for Singapore. But is this really the case, or is this another white elephant ambition like the Kra Canal? Stick around as we embark on a more rational discussion on the land bridge and understand its real impact on Singapore and the surrounding ports in this region. It was a project that was said to have the potential to dent Singapore's economy. A 300-kilometer pipeline that would move oil from the coastal city of Yan in Kedah, Malaysia, to another Malaysian town known as Bachok, which faces the South China Sea. The pipeline would divert oil tankers away from Singapore and lessen the time needed to move oil from the Middle East to East Asia. And no, we are not talking about Thailand's land bridge, not yet anyway. What we've been describing is Malaysia's Trans-Peninsular Pipeline project, which aimed to divert away oil tankers from using the Strait of Singapore. With the pipeline, oil from the Middle East would have moved to China via Malaysia, doing away with the need for tankers to stop over in Singapore. Today, the Malaysia Trans-Peninsular Pipeline project has become a pipe dream. It has gone moribund due to lack of interest from investors, but it is just one of several ideas that have been conceived over the centuries by rulers who dream of eliminating the need to sail through the Strait of Singapore. The latest ambition by Thailand is known as the Land Bridge Program. It would consist of a rail and road system that runs for about 90 kilometers between Ranong and the port of Chumpon, which faces the Gulf of Thailand. This land bridge has been described as a more viable alternative to a canal, and Thai Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin said in October 2023 that the project would save merchants between 6 to 9 days in transportation time if they elect to use the land bridge instead of the Singapore Strait. Thailand is now seeking investors who are willing to fund the land bridge, and the project is expected to cost about $20 billion. There are three main reasons why Singapore is not too worried about the land bridge. Firstly, Singapore is no longer just a port for ships traveling between the east and the west. It's now a major transshipment hub that connects to more than 600 ports worldwide. This massive connectivity makes it the world's busiest transshipment port, and hundreds of ships call at Singapore daily to make connections with other ports. Singapore also operates one of the world's busiest air cargo hubs and airports at Changi. This combination of a busy port and air logistics hub within a short distance of each other makes Singapore a transshipment destination of choice for many shipping companies, especially those that employ modern multimodal methods in the supply chain. So while some ships may discharge their cargo at the land bridge, it is almost certain that most ships already in the region will still make the leg to Singapore, so that they can make a connection with thousands of ports and airports worldwide. This massive connectivity was built over many years of infrastructure investments and free trade negotiations that cannot be easily replicated overnight. Another reason why Singapore isn't worried about the land bridge are its bunkering facilities. Singapore is the world's largest bunkering port and is able to refuel various types of ships, including those that run on marine gas oil, low sulfur fuel, or even liquid natural gas. This is because Singapore is home to some of the largest oil refineries in the world, and it has a sheltered anchorage that is deep enough for bunkering operations. This combination of access to various types of ship fuels and a sheltered anchorage makes Singapore a major hub for shipping companies to replenish their vessels. It's one of the reasons why there are so many ships in the Singapore Strait every time. In fact, once a vessel reaches the Malacca Strait or the South China Sea, it will likely make the journey to Singapore for bunkering activities. Given the range of bunkering and ship husbandry facilities in Singapore that cannot be found elsewhere in nearby ports of this region. And the third reason why Singapore isn't too worried about the land bridge is the type of cargo that the land bridge can eventually handle, assuming that it's built. While containerized cargo can be transported via road and rail over the isthmus, the land bridge cannot be used to transport crude and refined oils and other liquid cargo, unless there are also dedicated pipeline facilities that run along the land bridge. It will also be more onerous to unload and reload non-conventional cargo for the land bridge, such as those transported by dry bulk carriers, which carry mostly grain and minerals, and roll-on roll-off vessels, which carry mostly cars and other vehicles. Liquid and non-conventional cargo make up more than half of shipping volume in the region, and ships that carry these will still have to sail via Singapore, even if the land bridge is built. And while all this talk about Thailand's land bridge is ongoing, Singapore is moving full steam ahead with the Tuas Megaport project, which will be the largest automated terminal in the world once it's completed in 2027. It will have an area of more than 3,300 football fields, and it will extensively feature unmanned technology such as AI-driven robots. This means loading and unloading operations can be carried out more rapidly, which reduces the time ships need to spend in Singapore. This means that the trip around the Singapore Strait will take much less than the 6 to 9 days that was postulated by Thailand's Prime Minister as he tried to sell the land bridge idea. And given how the Singapore Strait is patrolled by the region's most advanced navy, it may just be the more secure alternative to shipping your goods via a restive region that is still beset by rebels seeking to establish an Islamic region in southern Thailand. Today, the maritime sector is still an important driver to Singapore's economy, but it makes up only about 5% of the country's gross revenue annually. Singapore is also a hub for the finance, aviation, pharmaceutical, and the semiconductor and high-tech manufacturing industries. Even assuming that the land bridge is built one day, Singapore's economy is well diversified and positioned for emerging economic sectors. It's far-fetched to say that Singapore would be ruined if the land bridge is built. What are your thoughts about this? Do leave us a comment below.